Hello, all. Welcome to the first ever card subject to change. And today's topic is going to be the fake war. But before we get too far, allow me to introduce my co host for this, the Austinator. Welcome, sir. How are you doing?
I am doing good. Apparently, there was a war, quote unquote, and now I am curious to see what the hell I missed because I'm under a rock, apparently.
Yeah, me too. Well, we'll get to that in a second. I just want to quickly give a shout out to Vance Major for allowing us two idiots to ramble here about wrestling. I know you Star Trek fans are probably going, "What the fuck?" Brace with us. I'll try to keep this under a half an hour, and I hope you like the content. All right. So with that said, first edition of the show, we're going to cover something that is kind of in the wrestling bubble right now, and that is the war, or should I say, in my opinion, the fake war. And that is this stupid idea that WWE and AEW, which are two different wrestling companies, are in a war. And that Vince actually gives two shits of a shit what the hell AEW is doing. And just over the next little while, we're gonna try to break it down for you guys so you can understand just how preposterous this idea is, and maybe why some wrestling fans cling to this, that there's a wrestling war. And for me, I think it boils down to the fact that all of us growing up in the 90s remember the Monday Night Wars between WCW and WWF at the time, now WWE. And we clamor for the good old days back when, each product would push each other to make better product, and we forget all the stupid shit that happened, and we also forget how that war ended. WWE bought WCW and then politely killed it in the worst invasion angle ever put on screen. But
Oh God, invasion.
with that said, Austinator, what are your thoughts on what I've just kind of laid out here?
Well, first thing I'm gonna say is that in the invasion angle was horrible, and I hope we talk about that at some point. But yeah, but like we kind of grew up in like two different periods of wrestling. I grew up around like I didn't start watching wrestling till around 2012 or 2011. I never experienced the Monday Night Wars. Like I knew beforehand, like with like the DVDs and stuff, and also the network specials. But going back to older, pay-per-views, and like going back to just the old stuff, it's just the Monday Night Wars was like a once in a lifetime thing. It was lightning in a bottle, and when NXT and AEW ran at the same time on Wednesdays with AEW on TNT and NXT on USA, uh, everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's the next Monday Night War," and I'm like, "Well, no. I mean, first of all, Vince McMahon has nothing to really do with NXT. Like, sure, it's under the WWE umbrella, but it's not Vince's brand. It's Triple H." And you also have to consider that Vince McMahon, even when AEW was starting, really did not care. I mean, if Vince really cared, why, like, the content compared to, let's say, if WWE was competing against WCW back in the day, it's like night and day. It's like Vince truly cared then. It's like here he doesn't, because unfortunately, just to let you guys know, AEW is not a threat.
No, it,
I
it it really isn't. And to give kind of a background, I watched the Montreal Screwjob live. So that gives you a, oh God, I just dated myself. But anyway, yeah, I watched that sumbitch live. Damn
Damn.
it. I also watched, Bret Hart come out live on WCW Nitro. God damn. Oh, the memories. Oh, the pain. Anyway, so, but no, and then to Austinator's point, wrestling is this weird thing where people have this clamoring for the Attitude Era or clamoring for the Monday Night Wars, but they forget what it really was. Like, I mean, you got to remember this isn't the first time this has happened since WCW. There was another company not too far in the distant future, or past, should I say, that tried the same thing, and that company is TNA or Global Force
or
or Impact or the
nobody
15
wants
other
more
names that it
product.
has gone by over the last couple of years. They tried. The fans were on board for TNA. TNA was going to put Vince McMahon in his place. Blah 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 blah. No, TNA
Yeah,
is now Impact, whatever the hell it's going by this week. They are so obscure and gone from the radar. It's not even funny.
yeah, because
AEW. Sorry, go ahead, Austin. Here.
I was gonna continue with that. Is that the problem? Is that TNA pulled the same shit that WCW was doing, which they brought in all the old WWE guys, which some of them worked, like Kurt Angle, and maybe Booker T at some point, but Kurt Angle,
Jeff Hardy,
Christian.
and Angle would be the best two
I mean,
out
I
of the
guess
that bunch.
Christian as well, but like, but
Um, I guess, but it was
but
more. It was more. I mean, the big ones for them would be that were ex WWE would be Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe wasn't ex WWE, but like Kurt Angle, Bubba Ray, Bully Ray, Jeff Hardy,
Lashley.
Lashley to a degree, but they still. I mean, yeah, he was ex WWE, but he went to Bellator before that. Um, but yeah, like they basically brought in all the old. Look, you remember them from WWE? Remember them? Remember them? And I mean, they brought in Ric Flair. They brought in Hulk Hogan. They brought in
Mick Foley.
Eric Bischoff. They, for some unknown reason, unknown to man, they even brought in Vince Russo on the writing team for some fucking reason. I don't know why, but you know, I may have a bias there. I'm kind of in the Jim Cornette camp on that one.
Basically, because Vince Russo and Jeff Jarrett have a secret relationship behind the scenes that they don't tell us about.
Yeah, but like, as far as I'm concerned, keep Vince Russo the fuck away from my wrestling, and I'll be a happy person.
Oh, absolutely, Vince Russo is an idiot. But the point that I'm also trying to drive home here is that AEW is doing the same thing, and fans are practically like saying it's okay. And I understand like maybe a couple of them because like somebody like a John Moxley or like or kind of like a star that can still draw. Like
Yeah,
that's fine, but when you're doing it all the time and it's wrestlers that are kind of past their prime, because sorry to say, when it comes to guys like Chris Jericho and no BS Paul White, I'll call him Big Show because that's all I'll remember him as. They're kind of past their prime. And, you know, Christian Cage, like if they signed Christian Cage, like as maybe one of them, I mean, I would have been fine with it because Christian right now looks good. And so far he's doing pretty good in the ring. And it's one of those things where it's just once they keep doing it, it's gonna suffer the same fate as WCW. Is that
WCW and TNA ended up being the old timers club.
It's like next thing you know, they're gonna bring in the freaking Nasty Boys or Scott
But wait,
Hall.
Austinator. But wait, Austinator. AEW has the edge because they brought in the biggest name in the world. They brought in Sting.
It's Sting!
Like, what the fuck? Sting is long past his prime. He got injured against Seth Rollins. The very fact that they have him in the ring right now makes me shake my damn head.
And
he is a lawsuit waiting to happen. He is an accident waiting to happen, and they have him in their ring.
And the funny thing is, the AEW fans, if WWE had Sting in the ring, let's say against Undertaker, they'd be like, well, isn't Sting like injured, or doesn't Sting have an injury? Like, why is it okay when AEW does it, and why is WWE going to be held like as the bad guys if they do that? Because WWE went through kind of the same thing, in 2015 with Daniel Bryan, because Daniel, came back from the injury and they put him in a ladder match. It's like,
exactly.
where's the logic in this?
No, there isn't any. It's fan bias. Whatever AEW does is okay. Whatever WWE does is shit. It's the time old. Whatever the WWE does is garbage, and whatever AEW does is gold, because the faint hope that AEW is going to be able to challenge one-on-one with WWE. So all the fans have to get behind AEW, and if you don't get in behind AEW, then you're part of the problem. Is the narrative, and it was the same narrative in WCW. It's the same narrative that TNA had. It's old now. To be honest, I said this off camera with Austinator. Right now, what AEW needs to do is never mention WWE ever again.
Yeah,
in any promo. They need to distance themselves from WWE so far that WWE never even knows they're alive. Because right now they're poking the bear. Tony Khan does it. Jericho does it. They all do it. They all poke the bear. Here's the thing, and here's the truth. And I'm sorry to say this, but well, bite me. They are poking the bear, hoping the bear doesn't wake up. Because if the bear wakes up, they're screwed.
Pretty much. And once Vince actually starts to care, that's when, and I think you brought up, AEW's fucked.
Yeah, they are screwed 7 ways from Sunday. If Vince McMahon actually cares, they're screwed. I mean, look at the way it's shaping up right now. We're recording this on a Saturday. Friday night was the first time that AEW Dynamite, due to scheduling issues, had to go on the same night that WWE SmackDown. Now, they only have to do that this year until July. However, any normal Wednesday night on Twitter, AEW would be in the top 5 trending for the entire show. Last night, they fell off the top 5 because SmackDown was there. In a year from now, in 2022, AEW is moving to TBS. And they're moving to Friday nights. They're going to get slaughtered. This isn't NXT. This is the second big show that Vince puts on. This is about as dumb as going up against Monday Night Raw. Even though Raw is 3 hours and a slog, and most of us don't watch it anymore. Dear God, I'm sorry, don't do it. Like, Tony Khan should be going up to the executives going, look, I'll take a Saturday afternoon. I'll take a Sunday afternoon. I'll take, like, freaking Tuesday, Thursday. Don't give me Monday or Friday, please. No, anything but those 2 days.
Because
they need to stay the hell away from WWE so bad, it's not even funny. And these idiots sit there and go, oh, yeah, we'll beat them. No, you won't.
And
Sorry, go ahead,
I want to expand what you're saying here is that I think that if you want, like, that's kind of what Impact should have done when, in 2010 when Hogan came in, instead of having the mindset, oh, let's compete with Vince, just be like, okay, well, we don't have the resources to compete with Vince. Like, even though we still have a huge fan base, our fan base is not big enough to do so. So let's do it on a separate day. And if you want to do it on a Monday or Friday, do it at an earlier point in the day. Don't compete directly with Raw or SmackDown. Now, Raw right now, you probably could get away with it because Raw is so bad, it's not even worth talking about. But SmackDown at the moment, I mean, no one's going to touch it because, and I'm going to use kind of like a card comparison here. With AEW Dynamite, I don't even remember the card. Their cards are usually not memorable unless like there's a huge like title match or a huge main event match, like a blood and guts match, which that was just dumb. But on the same night you had Usos versus the Street Profits, which sorry AEW marks, I think the Usos is completely better than the Young Bucks.
Yes.
You have Roman Reigns as your world champion, which again, sorry to the marks out there, I think Roman Reigns is better than Kenny Omega, and I will continue to say that.
Yeah.
But you have like AEW just doesn't have the star power.
No, they don't.
It's like you could say, oh, well, we got Sting, we got Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley. I'm like, sure, but let's face facts here. Kenny Omega compared to Roman Reigns, he's like one of those like creative wrestlers in like a wrestling video game.
Yeah, and I mean, let's even if they went up against Raw. Okay, Raw sucks right now because Vince doesn't care. Vince does what he wants when he wants. Now, if you're competing against Vince, well, now you're going to get Vince caring. So then he starts moving Roman Reigns to Raw. Then he moves Brock Lesnar to Raw, brings back Brock Lesnar, puts a whole bunch of money at the front door and says, Brock, we need you. Come back. So now Brock comes back. And then, you're having a televised pay-per-view? Oh, well, you know what? I think we're going to pull out that we're going to have a Legends night, and we're going to have Ric Flair, we're going to have Kevin Nash, we're going to have Goldberg, we're going to have... I'm sorry, you don't have the depth, and you don't have the clout. Stay the fuck away from WWE.
That's all they have to do.
Or you're gonna repeat what TNA did, and you're gonna repeat what WCW did. Because as much as we like to look back and go, the Monday Night Wars were so awesome. Yeah, remember how that ended?
WWE
that went out with a wet fart. TNA
and
TNA is gonna put out WWE. Yeah, remember how that ended?
It's like they're continuing to make the same mistakes that they did. This is why WCW and TNA, when we look back on it, they're failures because, and this is what history is that they should have looked back and said, okay, here's what to do and not to do. And it's like we're repeating history over again.
Yeah, they're focusing on the WWE.
It's like,
and they need to stay away from WWE. They need to create their own thing, stay in their lane, and worry about their own shit, and stop worrying about what WWE is doing. Stop even mentioning WWE. Stop talking about WWE. Stop poking the bear, because once the bear wakes up, I'm sorry, this ends badly. This ends very badly. I mean, right now, and I'm giving AEW a little bit of credit, so forgive me, hockey fans, but at this point in the grand scheme of things, what wrestling fans are saying is that the AHL is going to put out of business the NHL. Never going to happen. The NHL will win that war.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm sorry, you're not on the same... They're not even on the same league. They're not even in the same platform. They're not even in the same universe. WWE is up here. They have had the years and the time to build. They are like, I'll put it this way, and I said this to Austinator earlier. If you ask a random person, so not a wrestling fan, not somebody who's ever watched the product, you bring up wrestling, their first thought is WWE.
Exactly. And that also comes down to what I'm about to say now is that AEW's been around for I believe if it's like 2 to 3 years or close to 2 years.
Yeah, it's been a hiccup.
And WWE has been around since forever. It's one of those things where a company that's like 2 to 3 years old, it's not going to beat out a company that's been around ages. And WWE has more money. Well, technically, you could say, well, Tony Khan has a shit ton of money. Well, WWE made like a ton of money just on this Peacock deal.
Yeah. Never mind what they make in Saudi Arabia, which is a whole nother topic for another day. But in the grand scheme of things, I think we can sum this up by wrestling fans need to remember our own history. Wrestling wars don't end well.
No,
And
they don't.
the last thing you want from a business perspective, from any perspective, is Vince McMahon giving a damn about AEW. Because the minute he does, it spells bad things are about to happen. And to quote Vince, if AEW keeps poking the bear, the line that they're going to be able to say is the same line that TNA says. And it's the same line that WCW would be able to say. AEW screwed AEW. There's
what all going to come down to at the end, because not only are they making the same mistakes, but they're also doing a lot of stupid shit. Like you can and I think we talked about this on the backstage, is that, yes, the zombie thing at Backlash was fucking stupid, but however, AEW fans can't talk because you had that stupid exploding ring. Quote unquote exploding ring, because it was just a bunch of sparklers.
Yeah, it was sparklers. Or how about Chris Jericho hurting his arm so that much he had to have it in a cast, even though he fell on a crash pad, and it was a very visible land on a crash pad.
If they shot it better or they did something else, it would have looked fine. But the way they shot it, it looked painfully obvious. And
yeah,
I saw
it was brutally stupid.
I saw clips of that, and it's like, that's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, and the fact that Chris Jericho did it is just makes you shake your head. But I think we've pretty much summed this up. So with that, I'm gonna kind of wrap this up, and I hope you all like our ending, because I kind of worked on it, so it's kind of cool. But first of all, I want to thank Austinator. Thank you very much for joining me. We will be doing this every week, so hopefully you all like this. If you do, please leave a comment below. Maybe mention a part in history you'd like us to talk about in wrestling, and we'll try to make it and try to cover it. So again, thank you very much, sir, for joining me.
Yep, no problem. This was a blast, because finally being able to talk wrestling, it's nice, and
yeah,
it's kind of making me. It's honestly putting me like, because when I come back, because like I'm taking a 2-week break off my channel, and when I come back, I'm gonna start reviewing like the old pay-per-views, and
back when it was good.
Yeah, like I'm gonna do like a certain time period. Like I'll do like the Ruthless Aggression era first, and then maybe I'll go into Attitude era, or hell, even the John Cena era, or maybe like I call it the
one
next
pay-per-view I
era.
think you should add to that list, and this is kind of going back even further than that, is the infamous Owen Hart pay-per-view.
That I will eventually get to, because
that was we still argue about it today, whether they should have continued on or if they should have ended the pay-per-view right then and there. And I won't give away, for those who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, what that was about. But Austinator's channel should be in the description below. Please do check it out. Also, I am Ramblin Canuck, the Canadian Hitman. And I hope you've enjoyed this little chat. And until next time, this has been our thoughts. I am the Canadian Hitman. He is Austin 316. And that's the bottom line. And if you don't like it, suck it.